All right, we are live here from Atlanta, Georgia, and Manchester, UK. I'm Josh Jackson, and I'm joined today by Badly Drawn Boy. Welcome, Damon.
Hi Josh, how you doing?
Doing great. So it's 10 o'clock there. That means you're just a couple hours away from the release of your brand new album. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm thinking of it more of a date of birth for the album this time around because it's been a while for me. And my youngest son Ruben, was 3 years old today. So that analogy, I'm thinking of the album. It's the first day of its life tomorrow. Really, it's a nice way of looking at it because there's so much emphasis on how things work and figure sales or streams and figures, and it's like I'm just looking at today as it's the day it's first in other people's possession, and it's got a long journey ahead of it. Hopefully, like people discovering the songs whenever they do over a period of time. Just
Well,
thought I'd
I've really
drop that
enjoyed
on
the
you.
album.
Oh, thanks.
So, banana skin shoes. Um, can you talk a little bit about, it's been a long time since your last release. Why it's been such a big gap, and well, first that, why
Hmm.
now for this album?
It's just the first time of the last 10 years I've had anything ready to release. I'd try as I might over the last decade. There wasn't really a time coming where I could feel comfortable with a collection of songs that were going somewhere, or a period of time where I felt tuned in to achieve it. Or it was, I mean, it was, I joke about, I was so busy in my 30s from 2000 to 2012. So that was me being 30 to 42. Um, so I joked about being so busy in my 30s that I just thought I'll take my 40s off, just take a decade off. But that's not really. I mean, it pains me really to think of the time wasted in one way that I didn't release records because I was trying. But the main issue was a breakup with my ex partner of 15 years. So we broke up in 2012. Being Flynn had just been out as a soundtrack. The film didn't get a really proper release over here, so it came and went. A few depressing things happened. The breakup was the main thing though, and that kind of knocked me for six. And so I've been trying to bounce back from that ever since. That the first 2 or 3 years up to 2015, I met my wife Liana, I'm with now. So she helped me sort my head out a bit. I knew I was drinking too much through all those years in order to cope with the lifestyle, the job. Not to put any blame on anything, but that was just my choice. I drank a lot to cope with the touring and all that, and it was doable for the most part. There's a few haphazard moments along the way at gigs and stuff that have been documented, but I always had a good heart. I could do this. The booze was a good companion for me for a while, but it reached a point where I realised I had to make a change. So I gave up the booze in 2015, which is nearly 5 years ago now. End of November of 2015. So then that was the real starting point for me to think about a record again. And then that got tough because I've never made a record without the help of the booze, and then the world went crazy. So I spent a lot of time like fixing myself. I've used this analogy a little bit, fixing myself a little bit in the last few years, and the world seems to be falling apart. So I feel a lot better in a lot of ways. And then the world started to go a bit crazier in the last 5 years with climate change, Brexit over here. So I kept having to sort of adapt. The goalposts kept changing. What am I going to write about? And because I feel like I felt a duty of some kind to articulate some of my experience because I feel like I've learned a lot from the knockbacks I've had. So I wanted to make this a positive album. The title's a funny title, Banana Skin Shoes, as a metaphor for my slip-ups, but also acknowledging that it wasn't just a random banana skin on the street I slipped on. I put these things on. I put banana skin shoes. I was wearing them out of choosing some daft things to do, and so I'm now. Thankfully, I'm in a better place. I was in a position to not laugh at these things, but to make light of them and be positive that you can come back from some tough times and still be okay. And actually, even better, the tough times I've had have made me realize how much I appreciate the good things that have happened to me, and my music in particular is one of those things I've perhaps lost appreciation of at some points. But yeah, it's
Well,
all good now. Yeah.
well, congratulations on all of that, on coming through that, and your rhubarb juice there sounds like a wonderful
Yeah.
thing to be drinking. I've been juicing a lot and loving that, but um, I feel like in rock and roll, there's this idea that you have to have your life messed up to be able to create good art, and I feel like that's just a horrible lie that we've all been told. And I think your new record shows that that's absolutely not the case. So congratulations on that as well. And
Yeah.
you're going to play us some music from the new album.
Yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready for a number,
Yeah,
as they
let's
call them?
let's let's get a number.
Well, this is the one real breakup song on the album because I needed to acknowledge the breakup somehow, and it's only good wishes. There's no feeling sorry for myself on this album really. It's all like, yeah, I've had some tough times, but so this is a tribute to the relationship that broke up, which is the reason I've been away a while. It's called I Just Want to Wish You Happiness. Are you ready for it? Okay. Well, the truth hurts. The cards left on the table that we set and placed our bets, and the time spent remembering the things we should forget and not regret. But I just wanna wish you happiness for the time that I was with you and the rest. Is it true that it's better to have loved and lost than not have loved at all? And we aimed high, so at the risk of falling short, we'd still stand tall right through it all. But I just wanna wish you happiness for the time that I was with you and the rest. At first the wall is much higher than it seems, and the roots by now are much deeper than the seeds, but we could grow again if we just tell ourselves we've been through this before. Tell me, is it strange that I don't remember falling out of love? Yet the bolt's undone and the storm came, arrived without a warning, unannounced, like a distant sound. But I just wanna wish you happiness for the time that I was with you and the rest. The times that I imagined losing you. Be careful what you wish for, 'cause what you wish for just might come true. A few little mistakes. This mic's new to me. It's quite sensitive, so it made me nervy on the piano. But
It sounded good to me, and that is a beautiful song. So thank you for sharing that.
thanks, Josh.
So, this may be a little bit of a weird question because of everything that's going on, but as you've come back, and it's your first time releasing a record in a while, what have you found that's kind of changed in the world of music industry and putting out a record? I know this is just a weird time to be putting one out where everybody's stuck at
Yeah.
home and can't go tour behind it and all of that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, it's the start of the year, January. I had a few gigs, and I started to do live streams to build my profile back up on some of the social platforms and stuff. So I was getting used to that, which and just doing a few shows where I was playing new songs again. I felt dead excited about just being a current artist again, because I've been even though I've no new records out the last several years, I'd still kept my foot in playing live, which was fine. And I was doing a lot. I'll always play my old material anyway, because I know people want to hear it. So I wasn't shy about that, but I didn't have anything new. So for a long time I was feeling like a nostalgia artist, and that troubled me a bit. But I knew something new was coming. It was just a question of when and how I could finish another record. So that the start of the year I was dead optimistic, because I had new material. The new songs were going down well, the shows. So then when the lockdown came, there was a slight shift of the attitude I had to adopt to doing the live streams. So I was doing the live streams anyway, and then it became the only way I could connect live to the people that cared. The core fan base, really, they're all saying, "Oh, please keep these going, because it's been great." And so I had to get my head around that a bit. But lockdown or not, the social media stuff has been the most interesting thing anyway for me. Which people at my management might say, she's been brilliant, like keeping me a schedule of things to do, posting things on the different Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. That's been the most interesting thing for me, because technology is a tough one. It's changed the music. The music industry has changed a lot in the last 15, 20 years, almost in parallel to my career. Started 20 years ago since my first album, and the changes were happening about the time I finished up in 2012. That there was changes happening then with streaming music and stuff. So, but I found, I don't know, the good parts of it are really good and interesting. The immediacy of the connection I've been getting with fans, and that's quite rewarding, because when you're so busy, you don't get the chance to do that. So because I'm in a place where I'm building me back up, my identity again a little bit with the comeback album, I feel like I'm much closer to that than I ever was. I've just been on, before speaking to you, 10 Fans won a competition, and we went through the new album together before it's released tomorrow, and chatting to them for 2 hours. So that, I mean, it's daunting sometimes, but the true connection of it is great. So that's one of the big changes I've noticed, and I'm quite happy with the way that feels somehow.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've always appreciated about your music, and is certainly true on this album, is just the rich textures that you layer onto these songs. The title track is just such a fun, funky amalgamation of different noises, and I really, really like it. But can you talk a little bit about the actual making of this album, going into the studio and recording these tracks?
It ended up quite convoluted. I'll try and be concise, because it's a long story. I started out with Youth, legendary producer, in the start of 2017. I'd never worked with him, but I've known him for a long time. He's such a lovely guy. We did 6 songs in 8 days, I think it was. The beginnings of 6 songs. Some of them were close to, they were sounding good. We made a great start. Then Ruben was born. So I just didn't want to leave Ruben, because to be a new dad again, I was just so infatuated with him. So it's been such a gap since my previous children, who are now 19 and 18. So having Ruben was a revelation, and so I just couldn't face going back to London to record. So I took time off from 8 days in the studio, and I took time off again, which seems ludicrous. But so then I started working with a guy near to me, around the corner from where I live here, did a few months with Keir Stewart in Whalley Range near Chorlton, where I live, and a bunch of songs with him. And then there came a point last year where I needed to make sense of all this. So my management recommended Gethin Pearson. So I'd never worked or met with Gethin, and so he came and met me, sat here at this piano, and went through some more songs. And I just made a list of 14, and those were the ones we attempted to finish from the sessions before. Some from Keir Stewart's sessions, some from Youth, and then some new ones with Gethin. And then I compiled a song with Shana MacPhail that I did a few years ago. So that was the 14 songs. So it was quite a different I mean, it made it a bit crazy. So I don't like switching from one producer to another, really. I prefer to be loyal and stick with one guy, but it didn't work out that way this time. So it was interesting. It was a long process if you count when I started and when I ended, but the time and hours in the studio itself were probably relatively quick on this album, like a few months, but they were spread over a few years.
Mm-hmm. So when
I had health issues in between as well, like Crohn's disease, diabetes, time in hospital, and so that took weeks and months out of the schedule. I was trying to make a record as well. So sorry, go on.
Oh no, sorry to hear that. I was just going to
That's
say, so when were most of these tracks written? Was it just over the course of years and years, or was there a sort of a time when you felt like most of these are kind of coming out of you?
It's a real mixture. You mentioned the title track, Banana Skin Shoes. The idea for that song is the oldest song I've ever recorded. The idea of it was mid-90s. I was in my bedroom with a 4-track and a sampler, and that was one of the songs I demoed for the first album but didn't use. It was only like a bass line and a drum beat, a sample drum beat and a loop, and me making up some rap. I was trying to be a rapper in those days, in the mid-90s. So I was the more experimental artist then, bedroom artist. So I remembered that piece of music that became the title track of this album because I felt it was cool to go back to my beginnings because I've had this gap. I thought, well, why not present something that was that old and make it fresh now? Because I've had the time to reevaluate who I am as an artist. So there's more beats on this album than usual. I think because I wanted, if you're gonna have a song, let's make it danceable as well. So there's a few songs that are perhaps danceable, not dance music as such, but you can nod your head to some of them at least. So there was that aesthetic I wanted to bring in, and so most of the songs though are from the period of breaking up in 2012 up to now. So the last 6, 7, 8 years, 3 or 4 songs were written really towards the end of the process. I'm not sure what it is, which is the song I'm going to play, I think next, was the final song I wrote for this album, like last year. The fact that I needed another song that said something different to the others, and then lyrically it's about mental health issues and trying to change your patterns of behaviour and in order to cope with the world, and appreciating that somebody like Leanne, my wife, has helped me through stuff like that. And so yeah, I'm not sure what it is a really recent song, and the last song on the album is recent too, because that's about our wedding. We got married 2 years ago, and I'll Do My Best is the song that closes the album. It's kind of a nod to now. The whole album there's reflections on the past, but it's all in the present because it's the things I've experienced that have all gone into my soul, made me who I am, and I've learned from the bad stuff, tried to put it to one side and focus on the good stuff. So it's a very forward-thinking set of songs, I hope, because. And then it lands in this period that we're talking about as well on top of it. And I just hope that it's a useful set of songs for people now to think you can't lose hope. It's just not, we just, none of us can. I've been through some tough personal issues and come through them, and I feel better than ever, physically and mentally, and it's doable as long as you've got some help along the way. And that's what we all need to do.
Well, I think, I think we need songs like that always, but I think we particularly need songs like that now. So thank you for sharing your music with us. We'd love to hear that song, and I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Yeah, this is called Not Sure What It Is. Tired of climbing ladders just to slip down all the snakes. Enough for swings and roundabouts just to make the same mistakes. My patterns of behavior are beginning to wear thin. Can see the destination, never sure where to begin. Sometimes I'm not sure just what it is. There are days where I remember to exist. I'm so blessed to have you by my side. The true test is how you feel when you're alone. The best part is that the future's unknown. The next part of our story's untold. I'll know what I want when I see what it is. At least we tried something, even if nothing comes of it. Seems like the real things have all turned out to be fake. Spent half my life sleeping and the second half awake. Sometimes I'm not sure just what it is. There are days where I remember to exist. I'm so blessed to have you by my side. The true test is how you feel when you're alone. The best part is that the future's unknown. And the next part of our story's untold. Put your head in my hand, let this feeling move on. Something that was there that is afterwards gone. Take good care of this child who lives on in my soul. Half smile in the mirror, place with mine becomes whole. Sometimes I'm not sure just what it is. There are days where I remember to exist. I'm so blessed to have you by my side. True test is how you feel when you're alone. Best part is that the future's unknown. The next part of our story's untold. Busting my way through it, sorry. It's a tricky one to play, that one, sorry.
No, it sounded great. This has been so much fun. I'm so glad to have new Badly Drawn Boy music in my life. I really, really like this album. So congrats on that.
Thank you, guys.
And good luck with the album release tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. The date
That's
of
exciting.
birth, yeah. Oh, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
So we are going to bring in Margaret Glaspy, our second guest today, for our time of toasting. Hey, Margaret.
Hi, how are ya?
Good. How are you?
Really great.
Margaret.
Hi there.
Hey, oh, hi.
So what we like to do on the show every day in the middle when we have both of our guests on is just raise a glass of whatever you want to raise a glass of to anybody that you feel like needs a toast. So I will kick us off today. We were talking a little bit about mental health, and right now I would like to raise a glass to all the mental health workers out there who face a challenging time, because this is not the same as being with someone, not the same as that face-to-face interaction that I think we all miss right now. And I know it's challenging, and I know it's as important as ever, the work that they're doing. So to mental health workers,
Yes, cheers.
cheers.
Cheers to them. Cheers.
Oh my goodness.
Damon, who else should we be toasting today?
Wow. Well, since I'm connected to you there in Atlanta, it is Atlanta, isn't it, where you are?
Yeah.
Josh? Yeah. Well, just for me personally, all my American friends out there that I've not seen for a while, the fans that have supported me over the years, and I've got loads of people in different parts of the US. So everyone around the world, really, everyone that's going through a tough time, everyone is of one kind or another. So just to toast everyone, and particularly, not least, my little boy Ruben for his birthday today. He was
Oh,
3,
wow.
so yeah,
Absolutely.
everybody, and
To
including
everybody,
Ruben.
and happy birthday, Ruben.
Yeah,
Happy
Cheers.
cheers,
birthday.
cheers.
Oh my goodness.
Margaret, who else should we be toasting?
I've covered everyone for you. If you can't think of
That's
anything,
right.
I said everybody, so I'll let you off the hook.
Oh, well, maybe I guess I'll try and narrow it down a little bit. Yeah, to all my fellow musicians and artists out in the world right now. I know a lot of people are out of work, and yeah, I know that it can be very stressful, and so I raise my glass to you, anybody that's having a hard time right now, and those that are hungry, etc. I feel very lucky at the moment to have a roof over my head, and anything that I can do to raise any awareness, money, happiness, etc. I'm totally in for. So, to all the people, the artists and musicians that I know that whose job it is to make people, kind of remember their feelings and happiness, sadness, etc. I think a lot of artists right now are feeling it themselves, and so I raise my glass to you, and also for those that are just feeling down and having a hard time right now. It'll get better. We're going to be okay.
All right.
go.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Some mint tea.
Well, Margaret, that's a good segue. We are raising money through our YouTube channel right now for Sweet Relief Musicians Fund.
Yeah.
This benefits not just musicians who are out of work, but also any music industry professionals, whether that's a roadie, the lighting guy, anybody whose livelihood just went away right now. So they are doing great work and have for decades. So anybody watching, you're welcome to donate if you can. I know there's a lot of people who can't right now, but we've got that donate button there. And thank you both for just being here. Damon, we're going to let you go now, but thank you so much for the music. And
thanks.
Best of luck with the release, and look forward to the day when you can be touring these songs again.
Oh, me too. Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure to see you both. Thank you.
Thanks, see you later, Damon.
See you, Margaret. Thank you. Do I need to leave?
I gotcha.
Oh, you do it. Take care.
Bye, Damon. So, Margaret, welcome. So good to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, I've been following your music for a lot of years now. Pace named you the best of What's Next in 2016. And now you've got your sophomore album out, Devotion. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
I know this is not how you imagined playing the songs on this album for the world. How are you doing? You're in New York, right?
Yeah, we live in Brooklyn, New York.
How are you doing up in Brooklyn? How are you hanging in there during all this?
Yeah, totally. It's surreal. It's bizarre, but we're doing, we're hunkered down, and I've been writing a lot more music than I have in a long time. And so it's been obviously terrible context, but given the givens, the silver lining for me is I've gotten a lot of work done, which is great. And my partner, Julian, jazz guitar player, we've both been teaching, writing, making a lot of food, kind of getting back to the basics. So we're feeling lucky, to be honest with you.
So I know everybody's finding that thing that's kind of getting them through them. So cooking, are you having fun in the kitchen, experimenting different things with Julian?
Yeah, totally. I'm a little food obsessed, so I feel like I kind of get really, really nerdy about it. And along with so many others, sourdough bread has really caught my attention. I was, before quarantine, I was really into sourdough too, but this just made it a lot more deep and meta, the whole sourdough state. So I've really been chasing that one down pretty immensely. Yeah.
That's great. It has been fun. I mean, so many of my friends are doing that. I have not gone down that road yet, but I did make a really good soup yesterday, but no
Nice.
sourdough breads for me. But yeah, just the idea of being home and being able to tend to things, which I know for musicians, that's a luxury that you usually don't have.
Yeah, it's kind of a foreign concept, I think. And so I think we're used to, you know, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but I think often we're like, just don't own anything that needs to stay alive, plants, pets, etc. You can't really keep anything. It's hard, you know. And I think that's often why, too, like there comes a time when people want to have kids, etc. When they're musicians, it's a big decision because you're traveling so much. And so for us right now, I think it is really about getting back to basics and remembering how to kind of just sit still and and it's a real pleasure, to be honest with you, in so many ways. And it's obviously so confusing because of the context is so bizarre. And so I think, like everybody, you gotta have your up days and your down days. So I think yeah, it's been a very unique time, for everyone in the world, obviously, and we're included in that bunch.
Absolutely. And it's a very unique time to be releasing a record. Devotion is fantastic. Are you going to play something from the new album today?
Yeah, I thought I'd play a couple songs from the new album.
Cool. What are you going to play first?
I think I'll play a song called Heartbreak.
Fantastic.
Don't think I don't see you trying to say goodbye. Did you ever even say hello? You've got wings, take flight, break your vow to never let me go. It seems you're writing a book on how to make a heartache, and I've tried not to look for my own heart's sake. I thought I was happy, they swear you're a saint, and here I am suffering in vain. I'm feeling like my body's a burden, or just a place to put all my pain. If not love,
backwards till I break. And we promised we'd always be honest and tell each other everything, give or take. And I wonder, how did I slip under your spell, bending over backwards till I break? And we promised we'd always be honest and tell each other everything, give or take.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, one of the things I love about this album is it's a pop album. It's, the melodies grab you very quick, but even just watching you play, there's so much going on these songs. Can you talk a little bit about just what is influencing your guitar style, your writing? What's swirling around in your head as you come up with these songs?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lot going on, and also very little all at the same time. I think for this record especially, my first record, as most musicians' first records are, I think it's kind of what you've done in most of your life until that point, and you're able to kind of put on display, kind of your greatest hits. Uh-huh. And then for this record, I think it was really different. I was very kind of more of a public entity at that point, and so I couldn't. I wasn't just in my room, kind of by myself, unbeknownst to anyone. It was kind of expected of me to deliver, and I think that just made me want to kind of follow my nose even more, I guess, and just do something that I was excited about. I think that it is very easy to get in your head in a lot of different ways. And I think for me, it was just the one thing that I wanted from it was just for me to like it and be excited about it, and not to kind of try and heed to, I don't know, expectations that could come off of the first one. So I think it was fun to kind of just do me this time around. And I think what I mean by that, I really showed up on a real daily basis to write for this record. And so I suppose what I mean when I say like nothing and everything was going on in my head all at once is like, I think I allowed myself as a writer to kind of just follow through with my instincts and not contrive it too much. And I'm learning that more as a writer, to be able to write songs that I don't know, that you're curious and excited about, and that's enough. So that's this record to me. All things I was very curious and excited about, and that made me want to just soldier on and really kind of fly that flag even more.
Well, I think that's always a good approach, and I think that can be very difficult to do that, particularly on a sophomore album where you have all those external pressures and outside expectations. So that's great that you're able to do that on here and sort of follow your muse and end up where you ended up. And so congratulations on that.
Well, yeah, thanks.
So I imagine right now you would have been halfway across America playing some club or another. Do you have those alerts popping up on your phone of where you were supposed to be, or are you aware of that? I was going to be playing this great venue tonight. Are those moments happening?
It was really, they hit pretty hard in the beginning, and then I had my management just get rid of them because it was starting to feel a little depressing. And I also think that as soon as it all happened in terms of just, this big reality shift in where we're at right now, I think it became really clear really quickly. There was a big moment of disappointment, obviously. And then very quickly afterward, I was just so thankful that I'm okay and that my family's okay. And that really kind of trumped everything else, where I didn't really have much time to kind of, I don't know, be bummed out about tour being canceled, because it was so kind of obvious very quickly, especially me living in New York City. It's just, our city's been hit so hard, that you kind of look around and you just think, the powers that be, that you're okay. And so I was bummed out for a minute, and then I quickly got over it. It's all good. But that said, it's like I'm working on so much music right now that it's really fun to be able to just be home and make so much new material. And so I'm excited to just make even more records. And also, when the time comes to be able to play this live, I'm so excited to play Devotion, the record, for the people. And at first it was bizarre because, I knew that I was supposed to be in Paris that night or whatever. And I was just in my apartment in Brooklyn.
Ouch.
You're just like, wait, this is bizarre. But quickly it kind of just went away, because now this is just, reality. It's a different reality.
Well, there in Brooklyn, I mean, I know it's been hit so hard.
Yeah, pretty rough.
I also know there's a great community of musicians there, or at least those who haven't moved to Nashville already. Do you feel like you still have that community? Are you connecting? Are you, is that support still there, or do you just feel like everybody's just so isolated up there right now?
I think that already, I mean, we have such a great community in New York, and it's, a group of the most unique, hardworking musicians you could find, that just span over so many genres and so many backgrounds, influences, etc. I think that most of our friends, they're usually on tour anyway, and so it's not like we really get to hang out so often. We usually are seeing one another. I see so many friends in the summer at festivals, or I see them, maybe we end up in the same country at the same time and we're able to spend a day off together or something. Yeah. And so I think that's not the biggest shock in the world, is because we're so used to all of our friends being out of town anyway, that it feels like we still have our community, because we all were just FaceTiming and calling and everything to keep in touch in the first place, because we're so spread out. So that difference, it is heartbreaking when you kind of see what you've taken for granted, I suppose, that you can just, if you did have a friend that was in town and you wanted to go for coffee, or you wanted to talk songwriting or hang out and play music, it isn't a possibility right now, and that is bizarre. I really loved that I could do that, so that's a bummer. But overall, I feel like musicians in some ways are the least kind of the least prepped for this quarantine, because we're really not used to being home, but we're really not used to seeing our friends very often because we're always on the road. So it's a funny one.
Well, it's just another one of those things that we're learning to appreciate and
exactly
enjoy when we can do it again.
Totally.
Well, we don't have live music, but we have this, and I really appreciate you sharing your music
thank you so much for having me.
So we'd love to hear your second song today.
Yeah, I'm going to play the title track of the record. I'll play Devotion.
Oh, great.
Hard to think I might be needing something you didn't know I need, 'cause you put your guard up faster than Formula One, racing at full speed. Baby, I'm on your side when I give you a piece of my mind. It's a sign of my devotion when I show you my emotions. Oh, baby, I'm on your team. We don't need to fight and scream. It's a sign of my devotion when I show you my emotions. Na, 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 na. I try my best to get all the nonsense off my chest and wear my heart on my sleeve. But more and more, oh, I wonder what I'm trying for when you find my heart hard to believe. But baby, I'm on your side. When I give you a piece of my mind, it's a sign of my devotion. When I show you my emotions, na 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 na. Don't have a heart attack when I talk back. I love you just the same. Oh, and don't let the world stop spinning when I won't take the blame. Don't have a heart attack when I talk back. I love you just the same. Oh, and don't let the world stop spinning when I won't take the blame. 'Cause baby, I'm on your side. When I give you a piece of my mind, it's a sign of my devotion. When I show you my emotions, oh baby, I'm on your team. We don't need to fight and scream. It's a sign of my devotion. When I show you my emotions, na 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 na. It's a sign of my devotion when I show you my emotions. Na, 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 na.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So the last question I have for you is something we ask often on the Paced Happiest Hour, and that is, what is the art that is getting you through this? And when I say art, I mean, what TV show are you watching right now? What book are you reading? What is taking your attention right now and kind of helping you through this?
Right, totally. I think there's been a few things. I think one of them has been food, like really focusing on, I feel like we're on like a little bit of like a compound or something, or like a commune right now. We're, like everything that we eat, it kind of gets made in our house, and it's such a contrast, because usually you're on the road, you come home, you order takeout, you fall asleep. That's that. And right now, we've really been, we cook every meal that we eat for the most part. We might have takeout once in a week. And living in New York, that's a big deal for us. And so I think that has been really centering, is to kind of have this I don't know, this kind of closed circuit where it's like we're actually, the food that comes in, we make it, and it's all kind of in-house. And I think that's been a really cool focus for us to kind of realize what it takes to make our own food and get on that rhythm. So that's one thing. And then another thing, really honestly, writing music has been really centering. Just to be able to have a job like that and really show up to it every day has been really comforting. It's been a relief. And then also I've been doing, it's more intimidating at times than comforting, but it is really helpful for me to kind of structure my time, as I've been studying at, I do the distance education program through Harvard. And so I'm in school right now, basically. So it's kind of like, I feel like I'm in this alternate universe when I'm at Harvard and doing my classes. I'm on Zoom and stuff all the time before quarantine, taking my classes. And so feels like a nice regular thing that doesn't feel abrupt and like I've been doing pre-quarantine and during. So that's been really comforting too, just to have kind of my own project, non-musical project that is, makes me feel smarter and engaged in a good way, for sure.
That's fantastic. What are you studying?
I'm right now I'm kind of gaining my admission into Harvard as a proper student. So this is my third class I'm just about to embark upon. The way that it's all structured is basically you take 3 classes and then you have to get a B or higher in order to be admitted as like a real Harvard student when you're in the distance program. And so I finished my entry-level statistics class, and then I just did a class called Poetry in America. So it's all kind of the poetry in America, its context and history, etc. And then I'm just about to do an academic reading and writing program for the summer. So once I'm in Harvard, I'll be kind of a humanities concentration, learning how to write, not just songs, but like prose. And I kind of want to write a book or something one day.
That is fantastic. Well, congratulations on all of that. That sounds like you are a model of how to use your time during quarantine that the rest of us could probably.
No, and then I'm also watching Netflix and stuff too. Don't worry.
So back to the food. Is there a meal that you're like, oh, I just love making this. I love eating this. Where has this been all my life?
Right. We're really into, we make kimchi fried rice. That's a thing that we're super into. And it's become kind of a comfort food for feeling a little bit lazy. We have kimchi already in the fridge and we fry it up with rice, and it's like the best thing in the world. So that's a really good thing. Popsicles. We have popsicles always in our freezer.
What's the best flavor? What are you making?
Well, we didn't make. We didn't make popsicles.
Okay. I thought you were making your own popsicles. I was like, wow, that's impressive.
I should have been. We just made our own kimchi, which is really exciting.
Really?
We got like our own kimchi and our own sourdough, etc. But the popsicles, I got to get on it because it would be really fun to make our own popsicles. But we do these they're kind of hippie Otter Pops. They're like kind of like organic Otter Pops kind of vibe, and they're fruit punch and cherry lime.
Nice.
Those are my go-tos right now. Yeah, that's my treat.
Kind of inspired me. Now I want to make my own popsicles. I
know. I think it would be fun.
Go around Atlanta, and there's so many fruit trees around that are like just on public land that you can just grab fresh fruit from. So like service berries. I want to make service berry popsicles.
Yes, that sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. You go do that.
All right. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us on Happiest Hour. And
thank you so much for having me. Everyone donate.
Absolutely. And when all this is over and you're on tour again and you find yourself in Atlanta, we would love to have you in the Paste Atlanta studio, and we can do this face to face.
Thank you so much for having me. I love Atlanta. I love Paste. I hope everybody's doing great out there. Hang in there. And I hope you're doing well. And yeah, be well. And thanks for doing what you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Well, likewise. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Margaret.
Bye. See you later.